Good morning, it's just after 5 a.m. here in Calgary, and this short video is an exploration of your neck. I have lots of clients who've been sitting in front of their computer way longer than ever before, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and their necks are more sore. So here's some things that you can play with. This by no means is a template for your neck. By no means. What it is it's an opportunity for you to explore the relationships of what's going on in your body that contribute to the pain that's expressing itself in your neck. Let me say that again. Where the pain is not the problem. Where the pain is simply an indication that there is something up. There's a limitation in your body. So with this particular set of 4, we're just going to explore what that might be. So there's a strong correlation between how your shoulder blades function relative to your neck. There's a really strong correlation between your pelvis and your hips and your neck. So we're going to explore some of these relationships, and you can discover for yourself what's contributing to what's going on in your neck. All right? So we're going to put stand away. We'll start to explore some shoulder girdle stuff, and then we're going to come into your hips. All right, let's do it. Okay, so you need a strap to begin with. And what we're going to do is something called a figure 8. So I'm going to squat just because you can see me better in the screen. You can do this in standing. So you're going to take the strap over top of one shoulder. And you're going to take the strap across your body, across the back, and then bring it to the armpit here. Then you're going to flip it over top of your shoulder, like that. And then you're going to bring it across your body here. And then you're going to hook it up. And you'll see that the buckle will want to be here. And you'll see the back looks like that. There are people who will swear by this figure 8 in terms of helping them sit in front of a computer. Now, this is a new thing for you, or if it's newer, or if it's new again for you, and you're doing this and you're like, oh yeah, I can totally feel how this is helping me stay standing, a little more vertical. You might use the words, it's opening something. You might feel like lengthening. Whatever the subjective experience is your experience, just notice what that is. But you might notice some real good yumminess that is coming from this, but what I don't recommend is that you walk around your house all day with this, because it's kind of like an orthotic where you want to ease into it, but it can be highly effective when you are in front of your computer and you're having to do your work and you just need a little bit of extra support, and it also gives you feedback for when you're doing this, right? And that I think is almost more important, because we can get in our head around doing our work, and then we just get into like that place, and then things come forward like this, and then it all gets tight. That pain sort of surreptitiously kicks in, and this enables us to be able to see what's actually going on. So you're here, and I just want you to stand, right? I just want you to stand. Nothing to do except just to stand and feel the bottoms of your feet on the floor. So center of the heel, ball of the foot, base of the pinky toe. Yeah, and just feel that. You don't need to lift. You don't need to lift this part of you up. Let the strap just do its thing on your shoulders. And those of you who are just joining me, I've done a figure 8 on the back and through my shoulders. And just notice how this all is being experienced in your body. You might even notice that there's a lift through your abdomen. Not everyone will notice this. But again, whatever you notice is important, because that which you notice is probably what you're not noticing when you're in front of your computer. Okay, pull that down now. Good, and then just keep the strap because we're going to use it again. And now be here and just feel the result of that. Okay, and then we're going to take the strap. We need to unhook it because right now the strap is sort of in a spin. We're going to take the strap and we're going to unhook it like this, and we're going to bring it into a loop. So the thing that's so interesting about neck is that a lot of the muscles of the neck attach, or many of them attach to your shoulder blade, or further or below your cervical spine, okay? Or not to the actual cervical spine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this over the elbows. So this is a snug position, but it's not so snug that you're cutting off circulation or lymph flow or nerve flow down to your hands. Okay, so you're here, but you're not like, right? It's just holding your arms together. And then the articulating joint is that arm bone in the shoulder, and that's going to come back behind you like that. Okay? Now watch it though, because you don't want to have it so you're doing this. You don't want to do it so it's this motion, and you also don't want to have it doing so it's this motion, right? This is not the articulating joint. This guy is. That arm bone coming back is. That's where you want to play. But there's with the neck, what's so interesting is there's such a relationship to your shoulder girdle that we need to, I like to say that one of the roots of neck function sits in and around your blades and your shoulder girdle. So if you don't actually improve your shoulder girdle, you won't improve what's going on in your neck. So you can stretch out your neck every which way, you can get it adjusted, you can get it needled and massaged and all of that, but if you don't improve what's going on in that shoulder girdle, you're not going to improve your neck. And the position of your shoulder girdle, okay, let that go now. Let's bring it down to your wrists. Same thing, this is the articulating joint. If you don't improve your pelvic girdle function, then your shoulder girdle function likely won't improve. So then we need to look at all of these areas, and really you need to really look at what's the connecting factor, right? There isn't a template for getting rid of neck pain, but rather there's you're becoming aware of what's contributing to your neck pain. So I'm running the intensive right now, and we've got a few people in there who have some neck pain, like some of the clients that are coming in as part of the training. But it's being expressed differently, right? Some people it's tight ribs, some people it's pelvis, some people it's ribs that like to jut out. Good, okay, let that go. Great. So let the strap go and come back to standing, and now notice what it is that you are experiencing. Great. All right, we're going to come and do a chair. So grab a chair, and then we're going to go down to the floor. So we're going to take one foot up onto the chair. Now what we're going to notice is the relationship of your neck to what's going on in your rotation, in your twist. So the movement is your rib cage coming around. So your pelvis is going to stay still so that we can determine how this rib cage is moving. We don't want to lead with the neck, because if you're tight or limited or short or whatever subjective term you would call for a limitation in this movement, whatever's happening here could be compensated with your neck. So you're here, place your fingers underneath your chin to help your neck stay where it is. And now just rotate your body. So your obliques are the driving force. Your rib cage is moving around. Your pelvis is quiet. The knee hasn't fallen in. It hasn't fallen out. It's all just about here. It's remarkable for a lot of people how much their limitation in rotation of their rib cage impacts their neck. All right, and then come on back. Okay, let's do that to the other side. Bring that foot up. And twist. I want to emphasize, like I do a lot, that just because you increase your range of motion doesn't mean you're going to decrease your pain. And just because you have a stretch sensation doesn't mean you're doing anything good or anything bad for yourself. So pay closer attention to how your body's actually moving when you do the movement, okay? Notice what's working and notice what's compensating. All right, now from here, let's come onto the floor. We're going to take a blanket, or you can use blocks. And I'm going to use two just to help my head be in a better position. So we're going to be on our side. And we're going to move into what I like to call sunrise and sunset. So this is the sunrise, and then sunset is this motion. Now, a lot of people, when they do this movement, they'll go sunrise and they'll stay in the shoulder joint. But I want you to notice what happens. We're going to carry on from that standing twist. I want you to notice what happens through your rib cage as you go, or even as your pelvis. There's a really strong correlation of people that I see who, when they do this movement, they do this. And a lot of those people also have some neck stuff. So then you're here and you just explore, okay, where do I want to just do this with my shoulder? Where do I want to do this with my pelvis? Sometimes it's merely a coordination that you just need to become aware of how to actually do it. So I want you to notice your fingers up here, that you've got Crayola markers attached to the fingers, and you're going to move into a twist. So you're drawing an arc on the ceiling with those Crayola markers, but it's being generated by what you're doing through the ribs. So the ribs are doing the movement. There we go. Okay, good. And then let that go. I'm going to flip over to the other side. You come off of this and just lie flat on your back and notice what you notice between your left and your right sides. Okay? Okay, perfect. So now you're coming back here and the arm comes up and we take a twist. So again, watch what your shoulder wants to do. Watch what your pelvis wants to do. You can even watch this. Sometimes what happens is this. Whoop, see how I sort of like, I'm sliding down? That's another thing that we'll do when we don't have the ability to rotate. So now what we're basically doing is just exploring what your connections are to your body parts. And if your neck pain is going up, that's an indication you're going too far in your movement. So can you move in a range where your neck pain does not go up, or it's actually a pain-free range? See if you can find that. And then what you'll probably notice is just before the area of like tension increasing, there's probably a little signal that's letting you know that if you keep going further, you're going to get some strain. So maybe it's your ribs pop, maybe it's your jaw tightens, maybe it's your pelvis starts to move. Something in your body will start to show up. Now, most of the time, that's under your level of awareness. Now that I've brought it up, your brain will get to work on, oh, I wonder what that is. And we'll start to discover some of those other related, correlated patterns. Okay? All right, so now from here, let's take these blankets away. And we're going to come onto our backs and grab your strap again. Because we're going to do a little something. We're going to explore your pelvis, but then do a little something that will help you a bit. Okay. So you're on your back. And then I'd like you to take your, can you see my feet? Not quite. We're going to take your ankle up onto your knee like this. And notice, take your hands onto your pelvis. And notice if when you do your movement, your pelvis does this or does this. Okay? Because the movement itself really should be just your leg bone lifting into flexion, your leg bone rotating, and then your foot coming here. That's all it should be. There ought not to be any movement of your pelvis. Okay, and look at the other side, see if that's the case. Okay, good. And then what I'd like you to play with, you can either go legs up the wall. So with your legs up the wall, you'll be like this, and then you can cross the leg and bring it down. That's one way, if you want to come up against the wall. The other way is you can take your strap around your foot and bring that up. And then holding onto the strap to support your leg, you can even place your hand on your leg, is just start to rotate your leg bone. So I like to keep the leg at 90 as opposed to out here, because that's a lot of load away from the center of my body. Whereas if you can't straighten your leg all the way, you can keep it bent, but see if you can keep the leg at 90, yeah, thereabouts. And then just rotate your leg bone in your hip socket. And you get to notice what's happening in your neck right now. Is this too much load? If it's too much load, if there's too much happening in your neck or coming up into your skull, come over to the legs up the wall. Or even put your legs on a chair and give your legs a rest. If you're noticing the stuff is coming up in your neck, a tendency for people to say is this. There's a tendency for people to say, oh, that was not good for my neck. That movement was horrible for my neck. And I want to offer a reframe. And the reframe is, oh, interesting. My leg bone is not moving well in my hip socket. Maybe that has a correlation to my neck. See the difference there? Now, if you're noticing that this is starting to increase neck pain, then obviously I'm going to not suggest you do the movement. But I want you to kind of start to think about, oh, look, when I do that movement, I get neck stuff. Oh, wait a second. Maybe my hip has something to do with my neck. Then you can start to play a little bit more with what's going on through your hip and start to see more of what's related and then start to unravel some of that pattern. Okay? So now we're just going to rotate this leg bone in the hip socket. Place your hand on your tush. Find your rotators. And what you'll do is you'll feel as you move that leg bone that your bum's probably going to contract. This front of the hip where my hand is, that muscle is soft as I push my leg away. So if this muscle here in the front wants to really kick in and push, then that might be an indication of what this hip is contributing to your neck. Right? Kind of cool, isn't it? Okay, let's bring that down. If you want to use this strap on the other side, then bring the strap around that foot and bring the leg on up. If you want to hold it, you also don't need to if your hip's all good. You're just going to rotate, really focus in on making that a rotation of the leg bone in your hip socket. Pelvis is quiet, ribs are easy, breath is easy, jaw is easy, neck is easy. And if those areas are not easy, then here's the thing you say to yourself, oh, isn't that interesting? Those areas want to get tight when I move my hip. Maybe there's a relationship between what's going on in my hip and what's going on in these other areas. And then either go legs up the wall, put your legs straight out into Shavasana, or put them on a chair. Just come out of the position if it doesn't seem like it's serving you right now. Okay? All right, lovely. And then let's take that leg off. Good, and just rest that. And just easy, easy breathing. Notice what you now feel all through here. Really, really, really good. Okay, so as you come up and as you carry on with your day, now notice the relationships between these parts, maybe your hips, maybe your ribs, maybe your abdomen, maybe your shoulder girdle, as it relates to how this feels. You can use the figure eight. You can take a break and do some of the movements with the strap, bringing the arms back behind you, maybe a little bit of a twist, maybe some of the hip stuff. This is just a sampling of ways to explore the relationship between your body and your neck. There are so many other ways. You probably have your own exercises too. So when you're doing those exercises, simply notice the relationship between your parts, because that's when you're going to uncover those underlying biomechanical patterns
and why or what is contributing to why your neck is feeling the way it is. Remember, where the pain is not the actual problem. Yeah, it's a total pain in the neck, so to speak, but it's not the actual problem. To really resolve what's going on, we need to uncover the biomechanical patterns that are in your level of unawareness and bring them up into consciousness. This was one way of doing that. All right? So, if you want more of my help, you can come and join me for 3 months. I would love to help you find freedom in your body. I would love to support you in discovering those biomechanical patterns so you don't have to deal with the pain. So if you'd like my help, DM me or send me an email. I'd love to support you. You have a great day. Mwah! And I will see you tomorrow morning. Take good care.